We are talking about red, yellow, and green days today, which, if you don't know what that is really varying executive function levels. So, executive function, and some new researchers say that, executive function or ADHD really is like an executive function disorder, technically, even though we know we have really special abilities, right? But that's what people are saying is so it's executive function, and what executive function is what we're looking at is it's responsible for adaptable thinking, planning, self-control, working memory, focus, time management, being organized, prioritization. That's all executive function, and a lot of it's controlled by the prefrontal cortex, which is what's mainly affected with ADHD. Ours are just a little bit different, right? Ours are wired a little bit differently, and we have amazing abilities. We have great risk tolerance. We have the hyper focus ability. We're very intuitive. So there's a trade-off to lower executive function levels sometimes. And we still want to learn how to work with that, right? And so all of us being in real estate, what we're going to talk about today, red, yellow, and green days, and I have a template is what do you do when your executive function varies? One day you might be on it. If this resonates for you, where you've got it, you're on it, you're in a flow state, you're making calls, you're going on appointments, you're organizing, you feel you're totally crushing it. Then you might have another day, and for whatever reason, you wake up and it's hard to get up and out of bed and just get dressed. You might have that, or to make food, you just can't even make yourself eat, or you just the phone feels like 300 pounds and you can't pick it up, and there might not be a rhyme or reason to it, or you might have trouble prioritizing, or you just can't focus no matter what. And so that's your executive function. Yeah. Okay. So Don, already me today. Yeah. And that's normal. And I want to start off and I want to show you something, because in real estate and entrepreneur world, a lot of us have the expectation that we don't have executive function issues, right? We're going hard every single day. You grow every day, you crush it every day, and if we have an off day, we've failed. That's what I've noticed as a coach for this long, is that the expectations we have is that there's no variable, right? We're on it every day, or we're not disciplined, we're not motivated. We got to do something about it. So what I want to show you right now is just some perspective of what's normal. And so here is the stock. This is Bank of America. This is the stock. You don't have to know stocks to understand this. And Bank of America is one of the stocks that Warren Buffett, one of the best, most notable investors in our history, believes in Bank of America. And so when we look at the stock, I want to show you something. I mean, would anybody, if I said, "Hey, would you like to own some Bank of America stock for free?" You'd probably take it, right? Anybody not take it? No, everybody's going to take it, because it's a great company, right? And if you don't want it, we'll take it from you. But everybody would want stock in this company, and I want you to look. And so right here we have what the stock costs, and then right here it says how much it goes up or down. This is right under here. So again, you don't have to know about stocks to understand this. And so here we look at the 5-day, right? So it went up it went up 69 cents, or 1.32%, right? You can see there's some ups and downs. 1 month went up 6%, 6 months, 1.28%. Year to date, it's down 5%. Okay. So this Bank of America, think of this company is managed by a group of people who have gone to some of the top elite schools that are incredible at managing businesses, right? And yet they still have a down year. And you'll see, yes, they're up every 6 months, but look at this, right? They were up here and then went way down here. And this is a month span. So for a month they were down and then went up, and it still didn't go up to the high it was before, right? And we can look here, it goes up and down, up and down. So we have the 1 year, the 5 year, gone up 25%. So even though there's been some down years and some down months, they still go up, and max all time they go up. But look at these big variations. And so as someone who does look at stocks, it just blew my mind coaching agents that we are one person. And I don't know, maybe you've gone to Yale or Harvard, but probably haven't. And yet we're expecting ourselves to perform day after day, 100% crush it or we fail, and have an expectation higher than what these major companies are doing with a whole board of people who've been doing this their whole life, that have gone to school for this. And so the reason I wanted to show this first is to know that it's normal to have days that are up and down. It's normal to have a month. It's normal to have a year that's down. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that your business isn't worth owning. It means you're human. So what do we do about this? How do we weather those ups and downs where the down day doesn't become more down, 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 right? And when we have an up day, we can maybe compensate and understand what's going on. So yeah, so if you do have a down month or a down day, just remind yourself it's not all or nothing, and major companies have that downtime as well. So I want to show you this template, and I'm going to give you this. And this is the red, yellow, and green days. So what we do with this, and I'm going to drop this in the chat for you. And so what you'll do is you'll just make a copy of this, and you can alter this or whatever's helpful. And this is what we do is we actually plan, instead of thinking we have to have a green day every single day or we've failed, we plan and accept the fact that we're going to have yellow and red days as well. And so to define a green day, we're looking at like we're feeling at or near your best. Lots of energy. This is our high executive function. We're just on it, right? We're on it. That's a green day. A yellow day is maybe somewhere in the middle. So we have medium energy. We can still show up. We can still do what we need to do, but we might not be going over and above. We might not be crushing. We might not be working until really late. We might have a natural variation in our energy. And then a red day, this is a hard day. So depending on if you have a chronic illness, if you've got trauma, if you have really hard depression, those kinds of things, depending on that, your red day might look different than somebody else. You might not be able to get out of bed, right? You might not be able to eat at all. Get yourself out of bed. You might not be able to make yourself food, like any of that stuff. Or it might be that you're just showing up at the office and you're doing what you need to do, to maintain, but you're not doing anything else, right? So your definition of a green, yellow, and red day is going to vary depending on who you are and depending on where you're at. I've had clients where chronic illness flares up, and that's a red day, and that day is done, right? So what you can do is, and I'll talk about this a little bit, is you can fill these out. And so the goal is that you have a different expectation depending on where your executive function is. And so if you're at a green day, you might be part of the 5 a.m. club. You might wake up early. You might get going early. You might cook breakfast or eat, your specific food plan. You might get up and go to the gym right away. You might spend more time on your clothes or your makeup or your hair. You might start work a little bit early. You might do more lead gen, right? You might cook lunch or bring it in. You might do some chores that night. You might do right? So green day is going to look like this is ideal. This is if ideally, and this isn't realistic, but ideally, if we could do this every day, it'd be amazing. It would be like our best life and we do everything, right? So you might go through this, and this is the template, right? Where you kind of define what does that look like. And then we're going to adjust expectations. So if you have a yellow day, which is in between, you might sleep in a little bit longer, but still get up in the office, maybe for exercise or movement, you go for a really long walk and a couple push-ups instead of going to the gym. Or maybe you do go to the gym, but you alter your workout just a little bit. You might start work at the same time, or you might start a little bit later. Your lead gen activities you might do, but you might not stay late and do extra, right? And then a red day, depending on what that looks like for you, if you have a chronic illness or extreme trauma or PTSD or something, your wake up time might be whenever you can get up, and you adjust that expectation. Your breakfast might be something that you keep in the freezer and you can just microwave, or you order Postmates, something to just get yourself to eat, right? Exercise movement might be nothing if you're not able, or maybe you roll on the floor and you do some stretches and that's your movement for the day. Your work start time, maybe you work from home that day, right? Your lead gen activities, maybe it's just maintaining. If there's a lead you're going to lose if you don't call, but you're not doing extra, right? So you can kind of plan this out, and what this might look like. And the reason for this, I want to tell you more about this. So there's a reason we do this, right? If you are having a red day and you have a green day expectation, are you going to be able to perform at the level of a green day? Probably not, right? You might get sick. So if you have that expectation, what do you think most agents do? They're having a red day for whatever reason, and they have the expectation of a green day. What starts happening in the brain? We're going to beat ourselves up. We're going to shame ourselves. We're going to create, so with ADHD, remember, we can have lower dopamine levels. So we are going to be harsh. A lot of times agents will be really harsh on themselves, because what that does is it creates cortisol and endorphins, which are stress hormones, and it creates dopamine. So sometimes Sometimes it can get us going, but again, we're running on adrenaline. And it's like fear and stress, and that's where you get chronic stress and you can trigger all kinds of stuff. So a lot of agents, if they don't have this expectation, is that they will have the expectation of a green day, it's a red day. Why am I like this? Why can't I get motivated? What's wrong with me? I'm not disciplined, I'm a procrastinator. And then all the shame and all the stuff that we heard growing up comes back. And then if you have a red day and you beat yourself up, are you more or less likely to have a red day the next day? Oh, buddy, because you're gonna be exhausted because you're trying to regulate your emotions, right? And that happens when we beat ourselves up. Maybe it gives us temporary dopamine hit from the endorphins, but at the same time, we have to regulate our emotions and our self-talk. And overall, there's a bigger task, there's a bigger drain on our fuel to do that. But if you had the expectation of, ooh, this is a red day, right? What's my new protocol? And then you did that and you maintained the business, or you did maybe 30 minutes of lead gen or 10 minutes, or you had and then you were able to leave at noon something. Um, are you more or less likely to have a green or yellow day the next day if you follow the protocol, right? Like this is as a coach, and I have a mental health background. I've got PTSD, I have OCD, I have ADHD, I have autism. I was diagnosed with depression when I was like 7. I used to have panic attack. It was insane. So the more layers and letters you have, sometimes the more executive function drain you can have. And mine was like debilitating. And this was something working in mental health that I used for myself, which some of you know. I had a team in the top 300 in the world for Keller Williams, and I was 26 with a business partner, right? And I had red days. But when I had green days, I was really smart and I do it. And so following this protocol, because otherwise I would be a mess. And I just and seasonal depression can kick in. So I've seen this work, and it can feel weird at first to give ourselves grace on red days. It feels like we're not pushing ourselves, we're being too easy, we're enabling. But you'll find once you do that, like I said, you're more likely to have a green day. And you stop shaming yourself. And then what can happen is you start having less red days, right? And sometimes they're yellow days because you're not thinking the night before, I'm so tired, I've got to do this, or what's wrong with me? And so what can happen too is you could actually start out with a red day, and because you're not beating yourself up, it can shift into a yellow day. But if you're beating yourself up, you're likely going to stay put. And so it's normal, like we looked at the stocks, it's normal to have variation in your executive function. It's really, really normal. One of the things that can cause red days, and I want to talk about that for a second, is one, beating yourself up on a red day. And feel free in the chat, list those out. What causes a red day for you? Have you noticed the patterns? Because that's another thing that I've done as well, is I've coached people with deep depression, like medication resistant depression. And we track the red days. And then we can figure out, once we have data for a couple months, we can get a pattern of how many red days in a month. And then we can take the lead gen and certain tasks and we can stack them on the green days, and it gets predictable. So then when you go into a deep depression, let's say for a 3-month period, there's not this guilt and this stress because we padded it before and after. Right? So that can be a big thing. So also knowing what triggers a red day. Not enough sleep. Anybody else relate to that? So not enough sleep can totally cause a red day. Absolutely. Hormones fluctuating, and feel free to put in the chat. I'm going to read off more. So if you have fluctuations in your hormones, stress, like I've said, flare up of a chronic illness can cause a red or yellow day, a change. So if you are not as used to transitions, or task switching, or something, a big change in your life, like divorce, death, debt, medical stuff, all kinds of stuff. PTSD flashbacks. So that can also cause that. Minority stress, if there's political stuff going on that's directly affecting you, or maybe you're just an ally and that's affecting you. That stuff is real as well. Things going on in the world, war, moving can do that. Overworking and burnout can cause that. Not taking vacations, right? Just chronic work without breaks. Having poor boundaries. These are things, these are just a whole list of things that can cause those red days. So having poor boundaries, not having a cutoff time. You might work really, really, really late, and the next day you crash and you have a red day and you beat yourself up, but you just did two days worth in one day. Or you just passed your limit, and now instead of uh, quality, we're going for quantity. Like you're just working to work or to feel busy because you feel bad. when really you might need to shut off. If you are newly sober, right, abstaining from temptations or having a harder month, maybe there's something that happened. You used to use that to cope, and now you're sober. That is going to cause a red day. And this is, and I've coached people with that too, but I want to say is if you're sober and you have a red day, like that's normal. It's okay. Like, what a great thing that you have a red day and you stay sober, right? Instead of this just a red day is terrible. We want to look at the whole picture because we want to come from curiosity. We want to come from curiosity. So more things. So not taking meds or having the wrong meds. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria that can cause a red day. Messy house, other people's emotions, kid, husband, having a late start, task switching, executive function, major routine change, even good changes will throw me off. Totally, totally. And this is again where we want to come from curiosity versus this is a happy thing. This is a good thing. Why am I struggling? Right? This judgment is just going to keep you so stuck. And now every time we have to regulate, like if I had, and I knew I would never do this, but if I came to your office and I stood above you and I kept pointing out all the things were wrong, it wasn't good enough, what would happen to your energy? You just like sink, right? You might not even want to try anymore. So if you have that voice that's going all the time, you're probably constantly trying to regulate against that. It's like a voice, if right, and it can hit you that way. So if you're beating yourself up, why am I not happy? Why am I not do all that stuff can cause it. Finding out your sister-in-law will be using someone else to sell their $1 million home, causing you to doubt yourself. Yes. Has anybody else had a friend or a loved one use someone else that wasn't them and you found out? Totally. Luteal phase, yep. Having an autoimmune flare or hormone fluctuation, conflicts with other people that make me angry. So understanding what causes a red day is really important because it's either going to be something you can fix or avoid, or it's something to accept. I mean, your hormone fluctuations, that's not something we can really change, but now we can predict it. So you can say, hey, on average, I have one red day a week or 3 red days a week, or I have it every time of the month here. And now we can plan around it. And so then you can have that red day and you can say, I'm going to watch Disney movies this morning, and I'm going to order food in, or I'm going to make a smoothie and I'm just going to give myself grace. And you are so much more likely to have a green or a yellow day. So those are all great examples. Grief, loved one passing away, tension in your office, your work environment, change of the seasons or time change can cause a red day. Kids getting out of school or going back to school. So again, like change, you're seeing a theme, any kind of change, it can cause that as well. If you are having, let's say, does anybody have this where you're having a lot of red days where it's like, I don't know if I can like have a red day and have the protocol because I'm not going to be able to run my business. I'm having too many red days. You experience that or worried about that? So let's say you start tracking, you're like, oh my gosh, I have a red day all the time. This isn't like sustainable. So what we want to do with that is one, get support in place, right? So you want to have a support system. When you identify what your triggers are for the red day, right? We want to look at what can I change or remove? What can I get support around? What can I adjust? What can I plan for? And can I remove the stressor? Those kinds of things. Do I need support? Do I need mental health therapy? Do I need better medication? Do I need better self-talk? So what we want to do is we want to break down all the stuff that's causing your dysregulation or your red days, and then we're going to get a game plan and identify each one, right? So you want to list out as much as you can anything that's causing a red day, and then we're going to look at solutions for each piece in that. And then because we're tracking your red days, if you want to do that, now we can see that, okay, we're getting one less red day a week or a couple less red days per month. So that's what I do if somebody is like debilitating, right? And then if you can, depending on your financial situation, if you have red days a lot, we want to pull things away from your executive function. So I would say I'm somebody that I had a lot more red days than like green for an extended period of time. Sometimes it would last 6 months. And again, I had a huge team. I was doing big talks. And there's other clients who have had that as well. So we're going to leverage anything we can out that so we're not taxing your executive function. So if, for example, this was a big thing, doing dishes. Anybody have trouble sometimes doing dishes, or especially when you're having a red day? So there was a while where I got paper plates and plastic silver, and I didn't use the silver in the cupboard because that's one less executive function task is washing the dishes, right? So you just throw them out, and you can get ones made out of avocado pits. They have silver if you want to be aware of the environment, right? Or recyclable plates. So little things like that, or eliminating certain steps in things to make them easier, batching them together. Right? You could get a house cleaner. You could get a meal service. You could like go buy pre-made food or pre-packaged food so you don't have to cook. Things that are easy to grab, like deli meats or like sometimes microwaves, whatever it is to get yourself to eat as you kind of like flow through that. And so sometimes we see, like even a dog walker, if you can't do that, a laundry service. There was a time where I would go drop my laundry off and they would wash it and fold it. And again, it just kind of depends, but we want to preserve the fuel tank if you're having a lot of red days. So have a wonderful Tuesday. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.